So, what have I been up to? So, we didn't do too many videos this week, but I did try to invest my time into learning new classes, new spec, learning to appreciate some classes and specs that I haven't played that much, but also trying to look for a new main coming into the War Within. I kind of decided to go for 3 or 4 classes maximum on what I'm going to play in the War Within, and the rest would be just alts or like specs or classes I would play just sporadically for videos or for learning myself how to play against them. And I have been playing this past week 4 classes because I wanted to isolate some classes and isolate some builds that I wanted to check, but also isolate some playstyles that I was hesitating going into the War Within. Obviously, hero tons would do a lot. Obviously, level 80 would be different than level 70 with the armor like problems that we have currently on the pre-patch, which kind of rules out a lot of like the greatness of some specs. But I try to look into a isolation method where I try to look at the playstyle and not really trying to watch the numbers. So I did level 3rd grade TTV, which is my rogue, night elf rogue. I had a rogue, which is Toshika from Archimond, and now I've decided to play a night elf rogue because it's more busted than a dwarf rogue or dark iron dwarf for that matter. And I played from 1 to 70, so I did level through a bit of questing, a bit of dungeoning, but mostly because of the event, it is very quick to level. I think level 30 to level 70, I did it around 4 hours, and I was really slow, but it was really quick. So if you wanted to level people, it's the best way to do. It's by doing the pre-patch events and just like do it on repeat. It's very numb and very boring. Often the scaling is really bad for you, so you're just going to leash out of the activity of other players. But it's actually good XP, so if you want to do that, you can do that. And I decided to level as exclusively Outlaw. Outlaw is a spec that I haven't touched one bit in Dragonflight. I played maybe a bit of Outlaw for a video that I made fun of Outlaw Rogue back in the day, but that's it. And from 1 to 70, at least from 10 to 70, because from 1 to 10 you don't really have a spec, I kind of learned to appreciate Outlaw Rogue. I think the playstyle has actually grown on me, and I now understand why some people are like diehard Outlaw Rogues mains. I think the RNG system is not that great, but I'll be talking about it maybe in a separate video. But I kind of liked how the playstyle is. Now, that's the point where I'm going to say I'm trying to look at the playstyle not because of the damage that I'm doing or the performance I'm doing. Outlaw Rogue, it's not a lie, it's probably the worst spec in the game right now. If you are looking in pre-patch purely on numbers, I think any tank actually auto DPSs a Outlaw Rogue, which is a DPS by nature. The CC is great. I often do BGs or solo queue RBGs, and I find myself to perform okay because of the CC. But whenever I'm looking like the tab for damage or whatever, I'm always like behind everyone, and it's really bad. Like, it's very hard to just 1v1 someone because you're actually trying to 1v1 someone to bore to death. Like, literally they want to run away from you because you're not able to kill him, and you're able to die, but you could also survive, and it would be just a stalemate. So that's why I'm trying to look at the playstyle, because I think Outlaw Rogue has grown on me, and it was actually a very fun playstyle. So much so that I'm kind of playing only Outlaw Rogue these days. Whenever I'm playing Rogue, it's kind of inting, and it's kind of griefing whenever you're playing Outlaw Rogue right now. But if I'm taking everything from what I've learned from Outlaw Rogue, is that the playstyle is fun and dynamic. It kind of feels like Enhancement Shaman, but with CC and more of a sustain DPS feel. Now, the only issue is you don't really have burst damage, and you don't even have consistent damage. You don't have damage right now. You kind of like defeat someone by 1,000 stings, pretty much. Which, again, in this current meta is not going to happen because of the self heal and the self sustain from a lot of like classes and specs. But that's why I'm saying, like, you can trust me. I'm trying to look for play styles and not really about like the damage numbers. It has been fun. It has been like a learning process for Outlaw Rogue. I think it's one of the specs that has like one of the most keybinds in the game. Kind of reminds me of Enhancement Shaman for that. But obviously, I think Enhancement Shaman has a bit more like keybinds to go for. But I think overall, if you're playing Outlaw Rogue, it has like a big of a steep learning curve where you still have to learn something extra to be able to perform, especially in pre-patch where your damage is 0. But that's why I'm thinking like level 80, whenever the armor is gone, whenever you have the hero taunts, although hero taunts are like a bit more bad for rogues, I think the AoE damage is not as bad for Outlaw Rogue because of the innate AoE that you have as an Outlaw Rogue itself. I think it could like lend itself to be a good spec. Now, I think balancing should still happen. I think there's still a lot of things that can like be improved. I think Sinister Strike doing like literally no damage, Ambush doing literally no damage. I think there are like a few modifiers with Between the Eyes and the final talent for Between the Eyes where you actually dispatch every time you're going to do that from stealth. That should for sure be buffed because right now I think it does only like 1/3 of a dispatch damage, which is kind of ridiculous. It should be probably way higher because dispatch is already doing like laughable damage. I think there's a few talents that could be like regrouped together. A lot of the Between the Eyes talents should maybe not exist and just be like baseline. For example, the quadruple of a crit should probably be baseline. I think like Between the Eyes giving you combo points back should maybe become baseline or a passive. But overall, I think I had a lot of fun playing Outlaw Rogue. So that's what I was doing these days. DK, I've been playing a lot of DKs as well. And I must say that it has strengthened what I was thinking about DK. And I try to, again, it is the complete opposite of Outlaw Rogue. DKs are overperforming right now. If you would think that pre-patch a DK would release right now into level 80 and that would be the same strength, it would be busted. Let's be fair, I think Frost DK, the playstyle is super fun, super dynamic. It is completely different from what we have known from Dragonflight, from Shadowlands, and even like BFA. But I will say that even if the damage is like a bit too strong, if it is a bit different on level 80, I think I would accept it, and it would be still a very fun spec to play, but also a very performing spec. I think with how the playstyle is currently like shaping, it could be that you're going to play more cleaves or you're going to play a bit more of a into your face comps, which is kind of fun to play, especially as a Frost DK, and you're going to step away from that 1 minute go shenanigans comp. You can still play those, but I think with the current strength of Frost DK, you could actually like open your horizons towards other comps. Now, I think the worst enemy of a Frost DK is actually itself being a unholy DK, which is the second spec that is actually very, very strong. I would say even better than Frost DK right now. I think you can still play a disease build, you can play a wounds build, you can even play a pet build at one point. It is a very, very strong spec itself. Obviously, the damage is still crazy. I think like you're going to top meters regardless. Your CC is still effective, although nerfed. From Unholy DK, you cannot have a silence and a stun. Now you can only have a silence if you're speccing into it, or a stun if you're not speccing into it for PvP talents. So there's a real choice behind it. Having a 45-second silence is big. Like it's really, really strong. I think itself is telling me that I want to main a DK. Now, I'm actually always afraid about DKs being nerfed in Season 1 because it's always going to be something like that. But I think Death Knights are like grown onto me into a I want to play this spec regardless of the balancing, which is a great feeling to have regardless of class or spec you're playing. I think if Enhancement Shaman was like this, it would be a great feeling, which is not always the case. I think Enhancement Shaman is still like one of my favorite specs in the game, but it's more of a sentimental feeling that I had for Frost Decay from in Dragonflight Shadowlands or BFA, that now that feeling is disappeared for Frost Decay. That feeling is more, I love Frost Decay, and it's not even no matter what, it is just like this spec is coherent no matter what. And Enhancement Shaman is not the case. I think Enhancement Shaman, I have like a lot of flashbacks from my times actually enjoying the spec like from A to Z. And I hope it will become like this in the World Within. But right now, I think DKs like are a huge contender for me as a main, and I think for a lot of people, I think a lot of people that play DKs, I think I saw a lot of Frost DKs, which I never saw that many. Even in 2v2 now, I see Frost DKs, which is crazy. Are realizing that they are really main worthy at level 80. I think the War Within will have a resurgence of DKs, which is a good thing. It means that the devs actually did something well on the talent trees and spec trees and just playstyle. Obviously, the damage will be tuned. Obviously, I don't think it will stay like this at level 80, especially with the hero talents that are also going to be very much a better thing for DKs. But I think a lot of specs are also getting stronger for level 80. From what I've tested from the War Within beta, I think that DKs are going to be kind of normalized into other specs being also very strong. But I think if it's C tier, B tier, A tier, or S tier, I think personally playstyle and how they feel how they play, it is like a clear S tier to me. They're really nailing it. I even think Blood Decay might be fun as well. I didn't play Blood Decay this pre-patch, but it's something I always play like every single expansion to test out how the tank feeling is. And again, like transmogs, you cannot beat them. I think they're like fantastic. Now we have our friend the mage. I did play a lot of mage this like pre-patch as well. Mostly frost mage, but I did play fire mage. I also did play arcane mage. They are very fun specs. Now, from my playing, I did play the most mage this pre-patch because I really wanted to test it, because that was something that I discussed on my how to choose your main video, where I did hesitate between warlock or mage if I had to choose one. And from playing a lot of mage, I kind of realized that maybe it is not really something for me. I think it is a spec that plays very well. It's also very fun. I think playstyle is fun. But every time I'm playing mage, I wish I was a warlock in a lot of situations. I think the mobility is just unbeaten on mage. I think having invisibility is also very fun. I think having a lot of like slows innate from frost mages, for example, is also very fun. But I got very frustrated from like polymorph and how it works, and understandably it is how it is because it always existed like this. But having a fear and not break it directly is something that I got accustomed to, and that I feel like I missed whenever I'm playing mage. Obviously, if mages had that, I think it would be too busted. But I like mage, but not as much as I would think. So that is already like put aside. It kind of helped me realize that I don't want to play the War Within mage as much as I would have, and want to play warlock or shaman or any other spec that I would be playing if I wanted to play a ranged spec. Obviously, I think a lot of people are like thinking differently. I think fire mage is one interesting dynamic spec, especially on the War Within beta with the hero talents and how it works. It does feel like you're not casting too much, and it does feel like you're going to be like a mad bomber pretty much. Which is fun to play, and you will always see a short of a mage that is going to like implode some people in epic BGs or in like even solo queue RPGs. I do feel like I am not satisfied enough by playing mage. So for now, the testing did help me realize and on what I wanted to for the War Within, and kind of ruled mages out of my equation of what I wanted to main, at least for the current season, like season 1. Obviously, we have like the possibility to have it as an alt, but that is like down the line whenever we are like on farming mode, we have like our full gear, we have like rating on all of on our mains pretty much, and I want to chill out and I want to play an alt, I could be playing a mage. But right now as main, it is kind of ruled out for me. And I did play Paladin, and the two specs that I did play Paladin were Retribution Paladin and Holy Paladin, and I did play more Holy Paladin because it was actually a very nice feeling to test and to see if I really wanted to play it as a healer, and if I saw myself play it in 2s, 3s, in Soul Shuffle or in Solo Queue RPG. And I must say that Holy Paladin melee wings is actually an option. Melee wings is now not costing any holy power. It is a 1-minute CD, if I'm not mistaken. It might be a 45-second CD, but I think it's a 1-minute CD. And the healing has been increased, I think, from Judgment and from your Crusader Strikes. I still think that it should be applied also to Holy Shocks, doing like damage onto the enemy and also healing you. But I don't know if they are going to implement that, because it would be too busted with Daybreak being now a passive from your wings. So whenever you're popping wings, it will pop Daybreak, and you will be able to do Holy Shocks pretty much the same as what you would do usually, and it would do a lot of healing. I think Word of Glory is healing way more than previously. Your Holy Light is also healing way more than previously. Your Flash of Light is not as strong as before, but it is now also still an option to use. I really liked playing Holy Paladin as a solo queue RPG healer. I found it very fun to like spin nodes. I found it very fun to heal people that were like flag carrying, although let's be honest, it's very frustrating to not be able to bop someone that has a flag, but that is just an issue that is normal, because else it would be too busted. It would be literally the best healer in the game, at least in RPG, solo RPG. From my testing, I did feel like solo RPG has potential for Holy Paladin and how it deals. I also played a very aggressive build where you could actually like 1v1 someone and do a lot of damage. I did spam a lot of denounces, I did spam a lot of judgments, dealing a lot of damage. Hammer of Wrath actually deals some okay damage. Crusader Strikes does also a little bit of damage. So I do feel like you can have a lot of fun. And if you really want to go ham, you can go pop your wings and then go like a full Daybreak Holy Shock, like triple times onto the enemy, and like again do and deal the finishing blow. So I did like Holy Paladin, and that kind of reinforced my statement of Paladin would be a very good hybrid flex main to play, because I think Retribution Paladin is awesome to play. I think it's very fun. It's a bit busted. Again, I say a bit, but it's actually like an understatement. It's probably the most busted melee in the game, in my opinion, in a lot of factors. It does a lot of damage. It's like really cool to play as well, and I think with hero towns you also have a lot of fun with it. So Paladin as a whole, Holy Paladin very fun, Retribution Paladin very fun. I think Protection Paladin I need to test it, but I don't think it's going to be that good in PvP right now, especially with the nerfs to tanks and how it works. But I do feel like Paladin, by the testing I did, feels way better healing right now than in Dragonflight, so that's a positive. I think there are like two builds that you can play. You can really play a melee Holy Paladin, or you can play like more of a caster Holy Paladin without like the Avenger Crusader. Pretty much the normal build you would be playing if you're playing like the caster Paladin. But I think having the option to deal some okay damage, being able to do some okay CC, being able to be like literally very hard to kill because of Divine Shield, Bobs, you have freedoms, you have sack, you have a lot of like options to go for to enjoy your time as a Holy Paladin. And Retribution Paladin, as you may know, it's also a fantastic melee. I think it will be even more fantastic in the War Within. So my stamp of approval towards Paladin. So that was a bit of what I did this week, and why I kind of did decide to not do too many videos, because I think I could have made a video like separately for every single class, but I cannot go too in depth because it's still like 1 week separated for 4 like classes. So I did play Outlaw, I did play Frost Decay and Holy Decay, I did play mostly Frost Mages, but I did play Fire Mage and Arcane Mage as well. And I did play Retribution Paladin and Holy Paladin as well. And those classes I have now a broader view, and I can now decide a bit more and a bit better what I'm going to main going into the War Within. So you will see a video very soon, a tier list, where I kind of talk about what I'm going to main in the War Within and why I'm going to main. I'm not going to talk about power levels and how strong some classes are, because balancing is still not finished. Personally, I don't understand people are like right now doing tier lists for the War Within beta, while we all know balancing is still not up to date. You still see trinket changes on the War Within beta. So I don't know why people are like expecting it to be like final. It's nowhere near final. We still have like 20 days before official release. We still have like around 1 month before season 1, and even then it's more than 1 month. So I don't find it like useful to do a very much a tier list based around like power levels or around how strong specs are. But I will be making a video on best classes to main going to the War Within, and that's pretty much like an opinion. And I would be stating which classes and which specs are more worthy to me to main going to the War Within. Obviously, it is an opinion. Some people might like Giga like Outlaw Rogue, some people might Giga detest Outlaw Rogue, some people might detest Death Knight and prefer Warriors, which I can understand. But again, I'm going to talk about it on that video, and hopefully you are also going to be present. So hopefully you did some takeaways from my week of playing those 4 classes and specs, and again realize that the power levels or how strong a spec is on the pre-patch is not an indication on if it's going to be strong in like the War Within level 80. There are some correlation again on playstyles, and that is something I'm looking forward. So if I'm talking about Elemental Shaman, DK, Rogue, Mage, Paladin, Warlock, I'm not looking at the current present, like how strong it is right now. I'm looking at, do I like to play it? Do I like to press those buttons? Do I feel like there is something missing? Do I feel like something needs to be improved, or else I'm not going to play no matter what? And that is something I'm looking forward to. So Rogue, I'm surprised. I'm actually very fun. Like I'm fond of that spec class. I just think that right now it's not as fun because of the damage that you're doing on pre-patch is really low. But I like the fun I have, I would say, comes from playstyles. So obviously, if I have fun on playstyles while it's at its lowest, obviously whenever it's going to be more playable, it's going to be even more fun. And DK, for example, it's now at its strongest, but the playstyle is so fun that I can like translate it to the War Within. Mage, it is also a strong class, in my opinion, but I cannot really say that I'm going to play for the War Within Mage because I found the playstyle kinda a downgrade from Warlock, personally, because I am a Warlock player. And Paladin has been like a blast playing Holy Paladin. I kind of got surprised on how fun I had with healing in solo queue RPGs, but even like in arenas, and Retribution Paladin as well. So that's why I have a takeaway on I might be playing the War Within Paladin as well. So again, try to do the same exercise for yourself if you want to. Obviously, I think a lot of people are still not decided on what they're going to make for the War Within. But one thing I'm going to assure you, how the classes are performing right now on the pre-patch is not going to be a correlation on the really level 80 season 1 the War Within. So obviously, try to look at the playstyles. Do you like it or not? Are you going to improve on it? Are you going to play the War Within and not be disappointed about how fun it is or how boring it can be? And that's something I encourage people. Don't follow the meta. Don't follow tier lists. We make tier lists because people like to watch that, but we're not going to encourage you to play the S tiers because we all know it's like one patch away to become a D tier, for example. So try to play something you're going to be having fun as a S tier or having fun as a D tier. And for example, Outlaw Rogue, I can easily say it's E tier, but I have fun with it. So I look forward to improve on it and become way better once it gets a buff, for example. So again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.